go scootering, shall we? Well, I stopped on the scooter just momentarily to show you this. This is, what is this, about 8 o'clock in the morning, and a nice summer morning, but we're going to get rain later in the day because we already have clouds building early in the morning. But I wanted to point that out to you. That's called virga. That's when rain falls out of a cloud that doesn't really hit the ground. And so there's some over there, and then you probably can't see, but there's a big cloud over here closer to downtown that has a little virga. And we might get a little moisture falling on the ground from that, but that's kind of cool, huh? Well, so I'm at a city park over by Candelaria and San Pedro, and I just stopped to show you the virga up in the skies. But this is a Sunday morning, the first day of my weekend, and I'm going to just scooter around Albuquerque. I still need to get some breakfast, and I'm going to try to go someplace I haven't taken you. I took you to the Frontier Restaurant. We could take you to Winnings. I might go to the Waffle House. That sounds pretty good. The Waffle House is usually pretty busy on Sunday, though. But anyways, look forward to taking you guys along. And there was a gentleman up the street that was asking me about these trees right here. He wanted to get one of those trees, and I told him that's a blue spruce. And you can either get them at nurseries or you can go up to the mountains and dig one out, but don't do it on National Forest property anyways. So he was from out of town. But okay, let's continue on with our scooter ride, shall we? So the question of whether it's virga or rain is pretty much answered. It is raining while the sun is shining. Yes, it is raining. Raining while the sun is shining. Isn't that cool? So that virga storm cloud up there is really rain. Cool. And yes, here we are by the infamous Waffle House, a national chain, but it's fairly popular here at this one location. This is over by the Albuquerque's airport, the International Sunport, and that means that, yeah, we get a lot of sun, but it's not really international. I don't know if there's any flights originating from outside the U.S. that actually land here, maybe from one flight from Mexico, who knows. But anyway, we're at the Waffle House on Yale, south of Gibson, and we're going to have breakfast. And of course, there is the infamous Waffle House menu. I'm getting eggs and bacon and hash brown potatoes and stuff, toast, and orange juice. Look, orange juice for $1. When you come to the Waffle House, it smells like waffles everywhere. It has that wonderful smell, and bacon. Can't beat waffles and bacon. Is that not a beautiful glass of orange juice? I mean, look at that thing. For $1? Wow, that is a great price. So yeah, this is the Waffle House, but sometimes you just need eggs and bacon. And the Van Cleve approved way of eating eggs is you put the over easy eggs on top of your hash browns, and then you mix them all together and put salt and pepper on them. I know this is the Waffle House. I should have waffles, but this is what I'm having: eggs and hash browns and bacon and toast. Yeah, that was really good. Good and fast and quick. And the thing I really like about Waffle House is their business model. Every manager, from the upper level in the corporation down to the local store owners, they all have to know how to do every job. And so periodically, even the bigwigs have to come in and do all the jobs in the store, including cooking on the grill and cleaning up and everything. And that's a great model for business. Upper level people got to know what people down the chain are doing, and they have to be proficient at it. So good business model for the Waffle House. I counted at least 9 employees in this little restaurant, and so they staff it pretty well, more so than you might think for the normal fast food place. So they staff it well, but on a busy day like a Sunday, man, they get the food out quick and it's still good. So just like last video, when I had breakfast at the Frontier Restaurant but didn't have coffee there, I didn't have coffee here at the Waffle House. It's not that it's bad coffee, but I want to go to a coffee shop for a little bit of after breakfast coffee. We're going to head over to Winnings. Winnings is my favorite coffee shop, and it is the inspiration for Loser's Blend, which is a fictional story fictional world of this coffee shop called Loser's Blend, which is loosely based on winning coffee. Let's go over there now. So let's orient ourselves, shall we? To the north is the University of New Mexico, that's Central Avenue. And this is Harvard down the street. And this is a pretty cool mural behind me. But across the street, where that tree is and those tables, that's winning coffee. Now the thing about Harvard, the Harvard Boulevard here, is it's called the Brick-like District because it has this wide brick sidewalk thing. And behind me are the tables, the patio tables at Winning Coffee. And the thing about Winnings is it's one of the few coffee shops in Albuquerque that has a real sidewalk cafe culture. People sit out there and smoke hand-rolled cigarettes and bring their dogs, and it's kind of a neo-hippie at times. A little bit of street people, a little bit of student, hipster, kind of a mix of all kinds of different people. Now during the weekday, parking is pretty difficult to find in the front of the store on Harvard Boulevard, and it's paid parking, and the meter police are really aggressive. But here, this is the back entrance to Winnings, and what you have is over there is the McDonald's at Yale and Central. And Yale is the street that we came down from the airport from, the Waffle House. But behind McDonald's is an alley, a paved alley, and there's this little parking lot right here. And this is the parking lot for Winning Coffee, and you get 45 minutes free parking here. And so the back entrance is really my favorite way to get into Winnings. And those are the favorite beans that we buy. We always buy Dark Earth.
Oh yeah.
And we're stocked up now, but I love Dark Earth coffee.
Good one.
Yeah, it is. The best thing about Winnings, or one of the best things, is all the cool stuff on the refrigerator. It's just cool stickers and photos and art, and it all kind of changes slowly over time.
I love motor scooters too. Which one are you riding?
I'm riding a Honda PCX 150. So this is one of the things I really love, is the little artwork they stick on the side of the napkin boxes. This is Gandhi and a spinning wheel somewhere in India probably.
Yeah.
This is typical of Winnings culture right there. Yes, definitely a typical Winnings customer. Well, you just missed by seconds the tolling of the church bells down here at Old Town Albuquerque. And we've scooted over from the University of New Mexico, and we are now at Old Town. We ran downtown and north along the old streets of the country club neighborhood. And here we are in the touristy part of Albuquerque, where all the out-of-towners come to see what's left of the old Spanish village plaza area of what was a Spanish village back 350 years ago or whatever, how long it's been. So anyways, here we are in Old Town Albuquerque. So I had a good time at Winnings. I sat at the main oval table right next to the serving line. And there's a group of people that meet there every Sunday. They're kind of regulars, they know each other. I'm kind of a hangers-on, a newcomer to that group, but they accepted me just fine. They kind of take turns doing the New York Times crossword puzzle and just chit-chatting about philosophy and all kinds of stuff. I had some really interesting conversations about art history and other things like that this morning with some people. So that was a lot of fun. I had my coffee, a pretty good darn latte there, and it's a very colorful place, kind of an eclectic melting pot, which is one of the reasons why I like it down so much at Winnings. And of course that was at the University of New Mexico area, just a block away from the Frontier Restaurant. So I rode south. It's on Harvard. I drove south on Harvard to Lead. I drove Lead downtown to roughly 12th Street and worked my way north across Central and Lomas, Mountain Road. Now I'm down in the Old Town area, of course. These places take on a life of their own in the long history of this community. I mean, these buildings have been repurposed time and time and time again for countless private residences and businesses over the centuries. And this is the basket and rug shop at Old Town, and it's always a good place to get touristy kind of stuff. Well, here's a place that you can take an Old Town ghost tour. There's a lot of old ghost stories in these old buildings over the centuries, and everybody loves the ghost story, it seems like. So yeah, you can take a ghost tour. Well, the more things change, the more things stay the same, and it seems like change is the only thing constant around here. This used to be one of my favorite places for coffee or a pastry. It was the Old Town Bakery, and it was called Rolling in Dough Bakery, and apparently they might not have been rolling in dough because they've closed down apparently, or maybe they moved, I don't know, but they're not here anymore. But that was one of my favorite places to catch a good cup of coffee in Old Town. Too bad they're gone. Well, from up here we get a much better view of Old Town. So this whole part of town's economy around Old Town Plaza is definitely based on the tourist trade, and it's mostly galleries and shops selling artwork and clothes and stuff like that, jewelry. So naturally those kind of things take a hit during times of economic decline. Anywhere in the Southwest you're going to have a tourist trade, of course, because of the long history out here, but yeah, there's been a lot of closures and places for rent, and definitely a lot of turnover and economic unrest. Yes, more and more shops. And I do like a lot of these little stores. I think it's worth spending a little bit of money here to keep these places open, because they do represent a lot of very talented local artists. Of course, Church Street Cafe is a great place to eat breakfast or lunch. Very cool. Another thing I like about this area are the tiny little alleys between buildings. It's kind of indicative of the local architecture that dates back for centuries. And it's been constantly updated and rebuilt and built upon. And so there's always this layered sense of history about it. Constant turnover in these shops, as I mentioned earlier, is the norm, and that's true with just about everything around here. This building right here was a photographic gallery. They were selling prints for many years, but I have a feeling that prints just don't sell as much anymore now, with everybody having photos on their cell phones and on the internet. So, too bad. I've been coming here since I was a kid because I'm a local, so really Old Town doesn't really represent much to me except for two things. Number one is the history of the city, and number two, it's a great source of people watching and you might call street photography, because it's one of the few places in Albuquerque that you can expect people to have cameras and expect a lot of people out on the sidewalks walking. So there is quite a bit of that available here if that's your thing. Well, I've just spent my time here at Old Town. I think it's time to move on and ride up Rio Grande Boulevard along the old road along the river that used to be a bunch of farms and farming communities, and now it's more gentrified mansions, horse owner property. But before we go, I thought I would point this out. This is pretty cool. This is a bicycle converted to a motorcycle. It has a little gas tank here, and there's a throttle cable, and there's a cool little single-cylinder engine, and it looks like it's a chain drive. It's driving an extra sprocket on the rear wheel, so that's pretty cool. And he has, of course, a very cool basket on the back. Little homemade motorized bicycle. So 1706, this plaza was enacted, and they have a summer concert series. They're setting up for some kind of music this afternoon. So we're on Rio Grande Boulevard, north of the Flying Star Cafe, north of Griegos. And this is Los Poblanos, which is an active farm. And I wanted to show you this cool tree-lined lane that goes down into the depths of the farm. They have a working farm. They have a bed and breakfast. They do all kinds of events, and it's a pretty cool place, cultural center. This is one of the highlights of the North Valley of Albuquerque. So back about, I don't know, 15 years ago or more, when I had a little small two-stroke Italian motor scooter, I used to drive to work early in the morning when it was still dark, and I'd come down this road, which is Comanche, and I'd make this turn right here. And right as I made the turn, there'd be some jogger early in the morning that would always be at the same corner, and I would honk and he would wave. So I always remember this little curve. But we're basically at one of the city parks. This is Montgomery Park, and I'm going to stop here for a few minutes and have a little talk and a rest. One of the things I like to do with this Motor Scooter Diaries is to start shooting footage of me on the bike riding, some more dynamic stuff. But it's kind of difficult because actually I don't really have a camera small enough and with image stabilization good enough to get a smooth picture. So I'm going to have to work on maybe spending some more money eventually and get a good little camera rig like a, I don't know, a GoPro or something like that that I can mount on either my helmet or on the bike somewhere, and I can do a little more dynamic videos. But the scootering is a lot of fun, and it's a small vehicle, you're open to the surroundings, and very much part of the road and part of the experience. But it was fun today, driving down to the UNM area, having breakfast, driving downtown, going to Old Town, driving north along the valley. I didn't really cover as much of the valley as I wanted to. That tree-lined lane at Los Poblanos, the farm in the North Valley, they have a sign along that pathway that photography only by permission or by permit or whatever. So it's a very scenic area, and they obviously want to protect it, the view of it. It's private property, so I was unable to really do any video inside there, but it's a beautiful place. They have an active farm, a lavender farm. They have a shop. They sell lavender products, etc., etc., etc. But anyways, it was a fun ride, and I went up through the North Valley on Rio Grande Boulevard up to Ranchitos Road, and went up to 4th Street, south on 4th Street to Griegos, which turns into Comanche here. Now, a lot of these places that I drive along, there's areas that I could stop and talk, and I will in the future. One of the areas was down on North 4th Street. 4th Street is a north-south road, and there is an old motel, like the El Rancho, I think is what it's called. But it looks like one of those classic Route 66 motels, but it's not on Central Avenue, the Route 66 you're thinking of that goes east-west through Albuquerque. The reason why is because prior to 1937, Route 66 in New Mexico went from Santa Rosa up to Santa Fe and down along the Rio Grande Valley south, and 4th Street was part of that route. And then south of Albuquerque, I think around Los Lunas, it cut west again and became the Route 66 we know about. But after 1937, they realigned Route 66 to go straight through Terrace Canyon, through what is now Central Avenue, east-west, through Albuquerque. So the corner of 4th Street and Central is where the old Route 66 and the new Route 66 cross each other. But anyway, that old motel on North 4th Street, we'll have to stop in there one of these days and take a look at the sign. Well, that was fun. I'm glad you guys had a chance to come along with me. It was a lot of fun. Still a great day out there, though. More stuff to do.